Guys, homeschooling has been one of the best decisions I've made, and I'll tell you why. I know it's not for everyone, and I know not everyone can do it. But if it's been on your heart, I say go for it because it's so worth it. One of my favorite parts is the freedom. Not only do you get the freedom, but your kid gets the freedom to explore themselves, to figure out what their purpose is, what kind of person they're becoming, their character, without the influences of other kids and sometimes the bullying that ends up tainting and discouraging their true self, their personality, who they're meant to be. Sometimes authenticity is so broken because of your environment, and often it's your school environment where you're at the most. I know growing up, I struggled, and any other person I've ever spoken to, or other people that I hear their stories, they are constantly dealing with the trauma of their childhood when they were young and what it felt like, and just wanting to get out of there. Mm. The other thing is independent study. You are absolutely learning how to learn, and being able to figure things out on your own is such a benefit because we have to figure out critical thinking at some point. And critical thinking often is held back by learning bad habits like copying other people or being influenced by other people or comparing yourself to other kids where you think, okay, they're doing better than I am. Let me ask for their notes or copy them or whatever the reasons may be. He started when he was in fifth grade. It really allowed him to just be appreciative and proud of how much he learned in the process of learning. I'm not taking away anything that the school system does because that's why there's a system and that's why they're there. But if you have the opportunity to give your kids something that we wouldn't have had back in the day, the resources, the peace, the opportunity to get to know yourself um, without distractions or telling someone else or someone telling them they are not something. It allows them to become so true to self, and you can get them involved in other social environments like sports. um, you can also do like science or math programs. You can do coding programs. You can teach them about technology. You can teach them about so many other things that schools don't always teach. And I think that it's something important to think about because a lot of times I think people are held back by, oh, what about the social aspect? Oh, they may have to face bullying and they need to know how to deal with those challenges. I think it really takes away from who they really are and how well they deal with their own emotions and their mental state, mental health. I think kids are dealing with, you know, being diagnosed things that I don't necessarily feel are true, but maybe because of the distractions and environment, sometimes it creates that, like ADHD. Sometimes it's just kids learning how to do things differently, or their hyperactiveness. Maybe they're just rambunctious, like kids usually are. It's not that they can't pay attention, but sometimes the distractions around them are what take away from who they really are. I do feel like we hold on to these small negative perspectives that I don't necessarily believe are true. They're just what we've been told. So good. This is a cold noodle Asian fusion vegan recipe that I am just like obsessed with edamame, cashews, carrots, and I do believe that there are setbacks for some kids, but most kids that I've ever met that have been homeschooled, like 90% of them, have all become well achievers and have great personalities and are not awkward. We've had resources, they become more responsible. Um, they become more leaders, to be honest with you. And I do feel like sometimes school holds you back from being a leader in some cases because you got the kids that are influencing or making you feel less than, sometimes even the teachers of homeschooling. I will recommend and suggest it to any and everybody because it's a lot easier than we thought it would be based on our own experiences and our own setbacks. I know when it came down to math, I wasn't good at school with math and English. You know what? I wasn't good at anything, real talk. But that was also something that the influence and the distractions in school made me think. Sometimes even the teachers or my the reports to my parents made me feel like I just wasn't doing good enough. When at the end of the day, I was, but also needed more better ways to figure out how to learn and to trust my own thoughts.